The information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute professional financial, legal, or career advice. Scholarship criteria, deadlines, and availability are subject to change at the discretion of the awarding institutions. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own due diligence, verify all requirements directly with the official scholarship providers, and consult with a qualified financial advisor or academic counselor before making significant financial decisions. The creator of this content is not responsible for any outcomes resulting from the use of this information. By the end of 2026, American students will be carrying a combined total of over $1.8 trillion in student loan debt. That is a number so massive it is almost impossible to visualize, but for the individual student, it translates to an average of $37,000 in debt before they even land their first professional paycheck. Most students believe that the only way to fund a high-tier education in the United States is to sign away their financial freedom for the next 20 years. They are told that scholarships are only for the valedictorians, the star quarterbacks, or the mathematical prodigies. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of the American educational ecosystem. Right now, billions of dollars in private and institutional scholarship funding go unclaimed every single year simply because students do not know where to look or how to navigate the digital gatekeepers of these funds. We are not talking about small book stipends. We are talking about full-ride packages that cover tuition, housing, and even travel expenses. In this masterclass, we are pulling back the curtain on the top 5 algorithmic engines and databases that will define the scholarship landscape in 2026. If you are tired of the generic advice and you are ready to treat your scholarship search like a high-stakes professional operation, this is the roadmap you have been waiting for. The problem we are solving today is the information asymmetry trap. In the U.S. education system, the students who need the most help often have the least access to organized data. You might be spending hours on Google searching for scholarships for 2026, only to find outdated blog posts or predatory websites looking to sell your data to lead generation firms. Today we are ending that cycle. This is part 1 of a 10-part series designed to turn you into a scholarship acquisition specialist. We are going to show you how to leverage specific platforms to bypass the noise, identify high-probability opportunities, and build a systematic application engine that works while you sleep. We are moving beyond the surface-level tips and diving deep into the mechanics of the 5 most powerful tools available to American students today. The first pillar of our 2026 strategy focuses on a platform that has revolutionized how we aggregate niche data: FastWeb. For over 2 decades, FastWeb has been the gold standard, but in 2026, its utility lies in its hyper-specific filtering capabilities. To understand why this matters, you have to look at historical trends in scholarship distribution. Most applicants fail because they apply for the Big Three, the massive national scholarships that receive hundreds of thousands of applications. The potential outcome of that strategy is a statistical near zero. FastWeb allows you to pivot. When you create a profile on FastWeb, the algorithm is looking for data points that most students overlook. We are talking about microdemographics. For example, historical data shows that there are specific funds reserved for students who are descendants of specific military regiments, or students who have a documented hobby in something as niche as amateur radio operation or competitive equestrian sports. The step-by-step process for 2026 requires you to treat your profile like a comprehensive census. You do not just list your GPA and your intended major. You must include your heritage, your parents' employers, your volunteer history in specific zip codes, and even your unique medical history if applicable. FastWeb then cross-references this against a database of over 1.5 million scholarships. The secret here is not just finding the scholarships, but using the ineligible list to reverse engineer what you are missing. If you see a high-value scholarship you aren't eligible for, it often points you toward a secondary organization that offers a similar, less restrictive award. Moving to our second powerhouse, we have to discuss the College Board's Big Future platform. While many know the College Board for the SAT, their scholarship search engine is a distinct, data-driven beast that integrates directly with institutional financial aid offices. In 2026, the landscape of institutional aid versus private aid is shifting. Universities are increasingly looking at need-aware and merit-based combinations. Big Future is unique because it connects you to the scholarship programs offered by the colleges themselves, which are often much larger than private foundation grants. Consider a case study of a student in 2024 who used Big Future to identify gap funding. This student had a solid financial aid package but was short $5,000 per year. By using the filtering tools on Big Future to look for regional geographic grants, they found a community foundation in their specific county that prioritized students attending out-of-state universities. This is the level of detail you need. On Big Future, the strategy is to use the Pay for College tab to map out your total cost of attendance against the scholarship search results. You want to look for auto-match opportunities. These are scholarships where, by simply being a student in a certain bracket or region, you are automatically considered without a separate application. This is the closest thing to efficiency you will find in this process. The third website on our list is one that is often ignored by high schoolers, but is a goldmine for transfer students and graduate candidates. Scholarships.com. The interface may look traditional, but its strength lies in its local and state database. If we look at historical trends, national scholarships like the Coca-Cola Scholars Program are essentially the lottery of the academic world. They are wonderful if you get them, but you cannot build a financial future on them. Scholarships.com excels at surfacing the small-scale awards, the $500 to $2,000 grants offered by local Rotary clubs, Elks Lodges, and small businesses. Why does this matter? Because of the stacking effect. If you win one $20,000 scholarship, many universities will displace your internal financial aid, meaning they reduce their help because you got outside help. However, many smaller, local scholarships are sent directly to the student as a check for educational expenses, which can include a laptop, books, or even off-campus housing. The step-by-step detail here involves setting up a dedicated scholarship email address, something like yournamescholarships2026@email.com, to manage the sheer volume of alerts scholarships.com will send you. You need to categorize these by complexity versus reward. A scholarship that requires a 1,500-word essay might have fewer applicants than one that only requires a 200-word blurb. In 2026, the competitive edge goes to the student who is willing to do the high-friction tasks that others find tedious. Our fourth essential platform is Shoally. While it gained fame through Shark Tank, in 2026, it has evolved into an AI-driven matching engine. The platform uses a proprietary scoring system to tell you exactly how close of a match you are to a specific fund. This is crucial for time management. If you are a student athlete with a 3.5 GPA, Shoally might give you a 95% match score for a specific athletic academic hybrid fund. This allows you to prioritize your energy. Instead of casting a wide, thin net, you are using a spear gun. Finally, we have to look at the niche leader for 2026, bold.org. This site has pioneered the no essay and social action scholarship models. This is where the modern U.S. student can leverage their digital footprint. Bold.org allows donors, ranging from individual philanthropists to tech companies, to create scholarships based on specific causes. If you have a passion for climate change, mental health awareness, or even specific software development languages, Bold.org creates a platform where your portfolio acts as your application. In 2026, social proof is becoming a currency in the scholarship world. We will see case studies where students who have built small community projects or even impactful social media threads are being awarded funds because they represent the brand values of the donor. The strategy for part 1 is clear. You must move from being a searcher to being a strategist. You now have the 5 primary engines. In the next part of this series, we are going to break down the audit phase, how to clean up your digital presence and prepare your master application asset folder, so that when you hit these 5 websites, you are ready to apply to 50 scholarships in the time it takes most people to apply to 5. We are building a machine to fund your future, and this is only the beginning. To build this machine, you must first understand that in 2026, your digital footprint is your resume. Imagine a student named Alex, a high school senior in Columbus, Ohio. Alex has a 3.8 GPA, plays varsity soccer, and volunteers at a local animal shelter. On paper, Alex is a strong candidate. However, when Alex starts searching on FastWeb or scholarships.com, he finds himself competing with 10,000 other versions of Alex. The differentiator in 2026 is not just what you have done, but how you have organized that data into a master application asset folder. This is the structural foundation of our scholarship engine. Most students approach applications as a series of isolated tasks. They find a scholarship, read the prompt, write an essay, and hit submit. Then they repeat the process for the next one. This is a linear, inefficient strategy that leads to burnout and a low volume of applications. Instead, we are going to implement a batch processing system. Historical trends in scholarship committees show that they look for specific core competencies: leadership, community impact, academic resilience, and future vision. Your master application asset folder needs to contain 5 distinct versions of your personal statement, each tailored to one of these pillars. By pre-writing these assets, you reduce the friction of the application process. When you encounter a prompt on bold.org that asks about your impact on your community, you are not staring at a blank cursor. You are pulling from your community impact asset, which you have already refined and proofread. This allows you to apply to 10 scholarships in an hour rather than one every 3 days. This is how you achieve the volume necessary to shift the statistical probability of a favorable outcome in your direction. Step 1 in creating this folder is the digital audit. In 2026, scholarship donors are increasingly checking the social media profiles of finalists. Imagine if Alex from Ohio has a series of unprofessional posts from 3 years ago that he has forgotten about. A scholarship committee for a prestigious private foundation might see those and decide that Alex does not align with their brand values. This is not about being fake, it is about professional alignment. You must go through your public profiles and ensure they reflect the version of yourself you are presenting in your applications. Case studies of university admissions and scholarship boards in the mid-2020s indicate that character assessment is becoming as important as quantitative metrics like SAT scores or GPA. Step 2 is the creation of the resume of 1 page. In the US, the standard for scholarship applications is a clean, single-page document that highlights your impact rather than just your duties. If you volunteered at a library, do not just say you shelved books. Instead, state that you organized a literacy program that increased youth attendance by 20% over 6 months. Use data to ground your claims. In 2026, the scholarship landscape is crowded with generalities. Specificity is your greatest weapon. You need to have this resume ready in PDF format, optimized for applicant tracking systems. Many modern scholarship portals use the same AI-driven filtering software that Fortune 500 companies use for hiring. If your resume is not formatted correctly, it may never even be seen by a human eyes. Step 3 is the letters of recommendation bank. One of the biggest bottlenecks in the scholarship process is waiting on other people. In 2026, you cannot afford to wait 2 weeks for a teacher to write a letter every time you find a new opportunity. You need to secure 3 to 5 general but high-quality letters of recommendation early in the year. Ask your basketball coach, your AP biology teacher, and your supervisor from your summer job to write letters that speak to your character and work ethic generally, rather than for a specific award. Store these in your master folder. When a scholarship portal asks for a recommendation, you can often upload these pre-written letters or, at the very least, provide your recommenders with a template they can quickly adapt. This proactive approach ensures that a slow response from a busy teacher never stands between you and a potential funding source. Now let us dive back into the mechanics of our first major platform, FastWeb. By 2026, FastWeb has integrated advanced predictive analytics. When you fill out your profile, the site does not just show you what is available today. It predicts what will be available in the coming months based on historical cycles. To maximize this, you need to use the targeted keyword strategy. Most students search for broad terms like biology scholarships or Texas scholarships. This is a mistake. The potential outcomes of broad searches are high competition, low-yield results. Instead, you want to search for hyper-niche identifiers. Are you a first-generation college student? Are you a left-handed golfer? Are you interested in the intersection of artificial intelligence and ethical farming? FastWeb thrives on these details. Consider the case of a student who identified as a descendant of a specific labor union member. By searching for that specific union name on FastWeb, she found a $3,000 scholarship that only had 12 applicants. Those are the odds you want. The step-by-step detail here involves going into the profile section of FastWeb and clicking every single subcategory that could possibly apply to you. Do not leave any field blank. The algorithm uses every data point to filter through its massive database. If you leave your hobby section empty, you might miss out on a scholarship for students who enjoy chess or mountain biking. In 2026, the wealth is in the niches. Beyond FastWeb, we must look at the rising power of community-based platforms. In 2026, many local organizations have migrated their applications to unified portals like the Common App for scholarships or regional community foundation sites. This brings us to a critical realization. The most accessible money is often the closest to home. Imagine if Alex from Ohio ignored the national $10,000 scholarships and focused entirely on the Columbus Foundation. The pool of applicants drops from millions to thousands. The potential outcome of this localized strategy is often much higher. You should spend 30% of your time on national databases and 70% on state and local resources. To find these local gems, you need to use the Google dorking method. This is a professional data gathering technique used by researchers to find hidden information. Instead of searching for scholarships in Ohio, you would use advanced search operators like cite.org, scholarship, Columbus, expired. This tells the search engine to only show you results from nonprofit organizations that mention the word scholarship in Columbus, while specifically excluding results that contain the word expired. This step-by-step technical approach bypasses the sponsored ads and SEO-optimized blog posts that clutter the first page of Google, taking you directly to the source of the funds. As you build this list of local and national opportunities, you must maintain a scholarship tracker. This is usually a spreadsheet that includes the name of the award, the deadline, the requirements, and the status of your application. In 2026, managing 30 to 50 applications without a tracker is a recipe for missed deadlines and lost opportunities. You are running a professional operation now. Every Sunday, you should spend 2 hours auditing your tracker and moving 3 applications from the to-do column to the submitted column. This consistency is what separates the winners from the dreamers. But what happens when you hit a wall? What if your GPA is not a 4.0, or you do not have 1,000 hours of community service? This is where our second platform, College Board's Big Future, becomes essential. Big Future is not just for the academic elite. It is designed to help every student find a path. In 2026, they have expanded their opportunity scholarships, which reward you for simply taking the steps toward college, such as building a college list or completing the FAFSA. These are not merit-based in the traditional sense. They are behavior-based. They are designed to incentivize the very process we are discussing today. By mastering the mechanics of these platforms and prepping your master application asset folder, you are setting the stage for a massive volume of submissions. But even with the best assets and the best websites, there is a secret weapon that most American students completely ignore. A way to make organizations come to you with offers rather than you constantly chasing them. In the next part, we are going to reveal the reverse engineering LinkedIn strategy for 2026, showing you how to position your online presence so that corporate recruiters and scholarship donors are the ones reaching out to you. If you thought scholarships were only about essays and forms, you are about to see how the game has truly changed. The reverse engineering LinkedIn strategy is the hidden engine of the 2026 scholarship world. Most high school and college students view LinkedIn as a place for corporate professionals in their 30s and 40s, but for the savvy scholarship hunter, it is a massive, searchable database of donor intent and successful candidate profiles. Imagine a student named Jordan from Austin, Texas. Jordan wants to secure a high-value engineering scholarship. Instead of just searching on Google, Jordan goes to LinkedIn and searches for the names of major scholarships like the Gates Scholarship or the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation. He then filters the results by people to see the profiles of past winners. This is not about imitation, it is about pattern recognition. By analyzing the profiles of these scholars, Jordan can see exactly which volunteer organizations they worked with, which summer programs they attended, and how they phrased their accomplishments. In 2026, scholarship committees are increasingly looking for a specific type of social proof. They want to see that you are not just a student on paper, but a growing professional in your field. To execute this step by step, you must first optimize your LinkedIn profile to act as a landing page for your scholarship applications. Your headline should not just say student at Austin High. It should say aspiring civil engineer and community advocate, with a focus on sustainable urban development. Historical trends suggest that when a scholarship reviewer sees a link to a professional, well-maintained LinkedIn profile in an application, it increases the perceived credibility of the candidate. This is the halo effect in action. When your digital presence matches your essay, you are no longer just a name in a pile. You are a verified individual with a track record of engagement. The next layer of this LinkedIn strategy involves the direct engagement with donor organizations. Most scholarship funds are managed by foundations or corporations that have their own LinkedIn pages. By following these pages and engaging with their content in a meaningful way, leaving thoughtful comments on their initiatives or sharing their impact reports, you are subtly placing your name in front of their digital teams. In some case studies, students who have engaged consistently with the Foundation's mission online have been invited to apply for exclusive, non-publicized grants. This is because foundations often have discretionary funds that they prefer to award to students who have already demonstrated an alignment with their specific values. Now, let us transition to the fourth website on our master list, scholarships.com. While we touched on it briefly before, in 2026, the real power of this platform lies in its local and state database. If we look at the potential outcomes of focusing on national versus local awards, the math is staggering. A national scholarship might have a 1 in 10,000 success rate. A local scholarship offered by a state-level credit union or a regional agricultural board might have a 1 in 50 success rate. Scholarships.com allows you to filter by zip code and state with extreme precision. Let us look at a case study of a student named Sarah in rural Pennsylvania. Sarah was struggling to find funding for her nursing degree. By using the state-specific filters on scholarships.com, she discovered the Pennsylvania Nightingale Award, a scholarship specifically for students from certain counties who commit to working in underserved rural hospitals after graduation. This is a highly specific, high-value award that many students miss because they are too focused on the big names. To replicate Sarah's success, you need to set your scholarships.com profile to alert you specifically for state-based grants and niche professional associations. In 2026, these organizations are often the most stable sources of funding because they are directly tied to local workforce needs. Step by step, you should go into the filter settings of scholarships.com and look for the Professional Association tab. Every industry, from plumbing to aerospace engineering, has a professional body. These bodies almost always have a scholarship arm intended to recruit new talent into the field. For example, the American Society of Civil Engineers or the National Society of Black Engineers. These organizations do not just want to give you money, they want to give you a career. By winning their scholarships, you often gain access to their annual conferences, mentorship programs, and job boards. This is why we call this a deep dive masterclass. We are looking for scholarships that provide a return on investment that goes far beyond the initial check. The fifth and perhaps most innovative platform for 2026 is bold.org. This platform has fundamentally changed the barrier to entry for scholarships by introducing the no essay model. However, do not let the lack of an essay fool you into thinking it is easy. The no essay scholarships on bold.org are often awarded based on your bold profile and your social contribution. Imagine if you had a profile that showcased your creative projects, your coding repository, or your history of environmental activism. On bold.org, donors can see your entire body of work. The potential outcome for a student on bold.org is highly dependent on their ability to tell a visual and data-driven story. Instead of a traditional essay, you might be asked to submit a link to a video or a portfolio of your work. For a student in 2026, this is a massive advantage. If you are a digital artist, you can compete on the quality of your art rather than the quality of your prose. To master bold.org, you must treat your profile like a living portfolio. Add every certificate you earn, every project you complete, and every volunteer hour you log. The platform's algorithm will then match you with donors whose interests align perfectly with your activities. Another critical feature of bold.org in 2026 is the Nominate a Friend feature. This is a unique social dynamic that historical trends show is becoming more common in philanthropic circles. By nominating others and having others nominate you, you build a network of academic endorsements. This creates a secondary layer of credibility. When a donor sees that a student has been nominated by 5 different peers for their leadership in a school club, that carries more weight than the student simply claiming they are a leader in an essay. It is a decentralized form of peer review that is increasingly being used to vet candidates for private funds. But how do you handle the technical side of all these applications? In 2026, the volume of data you need to manage is significant. This is where the master asset folder we discussed in Part 2 needs to be upgraded with an automated deadline calendar. You should never be surprised by a deadline. Most scholarship deadlines in the US fall into 2 major windows: the fall window from September to December, and the spring window from January to April. However, niche scholarships often have off-cycle deadlines in the summer months when most students are not looking. Case studies of successful scholarship earners show that they often find their biggest wins in July and August. Why? Because the competition is at its lowest. Most students are on vacation or working summer jobs and have stopped checking the databases. By maintaining a year-round application schedule, you are applying when the pool of competitors is smallest. This is the definition of a high-leverage move. In 2026, the student who applies for a scholarship on July 15th has a statistically higher chance of success than the student who applies for the same type of award on November 15th. We have now covered the 5 essential platforms and the high-level strategies to dominate them. But there is a massive mistake that almost every student makes once they actually start the writing process, a mistake that leads to instant disqualification by the AI filters and human reviewers alike. It is a subtle trap in the way you phrase your goals and your needs. In the next part, we are going to dive into the Scholarship Psychology Masterclass, where we will show you exactly how to frame your story so that it resonates with the specific psychology of a donor. We are going to look at the exact phrases that trigger a positive response and the red flag words that will get your application tossed in the trash before it is even finished. If you want to know why some students with lower grades win more money than the valedictorians, you cannot afford to miss what is coming next. The reason some students with lower GPAs out-earn valedictorians in the scholarship arena often comes down to a single psychological shift. They stop presenting themselves as a charity case and start presenting themselves as an investment opportunity. In 2026, scholarship donors, whether they are corporate giants, family foundations, or community organizations, are not just looking for someone who needs help. They are looking for someone who will carry their legacy forward. Imagine a student named Marcus from Detroit. Marcus has a 3.2 GPA, which is respectable but not at the top of his class. However, Marcus has spent 3 years working at a local community garden, teaching younger kids about sustainable urban agriculture. When Marcus applies for scholarships on platforms like scholarships.com or bold.org, he does not lead with his financial struggle. He leads with his vision for urban food security in the Midwest. This is the investment frame. Historical trends show that committees are drawn to narratives of agency rather than narratives of victimhood. When you write your essays or fill out your profiles on these top 5 websites, you must use the language of a founder. Instead of saying, "I need this money to pay for college," you say, "This funding will enable me to scale my research into renewable energy systems," specifically focusing on solar integration in low-income housing. This subtle shift in phrasing changes how the reviewer perceives you. You are no longer asking for a handout. You are inviting them to partner in your future success. Case studies of successful 2025 and 2026 applicants show that students who use active verbs and future-oriented goals have a higher success rate in the final interview stages of private foundation grants. Let us break down the specific red flag words that can get your application disqualified by AI filters or human reviewers. In 2026, many scholarship databases use natural language processing to pre-screen essays. Words like underprivileged, struggling, or hopeless can often trigger a negative algorithmic bias if they are not immediately followed by a narrative of resilience and specific action. The goal is not to hide your circumstances, but to contextualize them within your growth. If you are using FastWeb to find scholarships for first-generation students, the algorithm is looking for keywords that indicate academic readiness and leadership potential. Step by step, you should audit your essays for passive voice. Instead of saying, "I was given the opportunity to lead," say, "I spearheaded a team of 5 to revitalize the school's recycling program." Another psychological trigger is the YS factor. Many students make the mistake of sending the exact same essay to every donor they find on scholarships.com. This is a high-volume strategy, but it lacks the precision needed for high-value awards. Imagine if you are a donor for the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. You receive 2 applications. One is a generic essay about wanting to be a doctor. The other mentions the specific history of the HSF and how the student intends to mentor other Hispanic students through the organization's network in 2027 and 2028. The second student has created an immediate psychological connection. They have shown that they have done their research and that they value the organization as more than just a source of funds. To implement this without spending 5 hours on every application, you use the modular essay method. Within your master application asset folder, you should have a donor research snippet for each of the major organizations you are targeting. This is a 2-sentence block that you can swap into your intro or conclusion. It mentions the organization's mission statement and how your personal goals align with it. For example, if you are applying for a scholarship through the College Board's Big Future, you might mention their commitment to expanding access to higher education. This shows the reviewer that you are not just a scholarship hunter, but a mission-aligned partner. Now, let us look at the technicalities of the No Essay scholarships on bold.org. Because these do not require traditional writing, the psychology shifts to your digital vibe. In 2026, donors on bold.org often scroll through hundreds of profiles in a single sitting. You have approximately 3 seconds to capture their attention. Your profile picture needs to be professional. Not a selfie, but a high-quality headshot with a neutral background. Your bio needs to be a hook. Imagine if your bio starts with, in 2026, I am on a mission to bridge the gap between rural healthcare and telemedicine. This is far more compelling than high school senior interested in medicine. Step by step, you should optimize your bold.org profile by using the impact section. Instead of just listing your GPA, use this space to link to external proof of your work. If you have a GitHub repository, a portfolio on Behance, or even a LinkedIn article you wrote about a topic in your field, link it. Historical trends in 2026 indicate that donors are increasingly vetting candidates by clicking through to their external work. They want to see that you are active in the real world, not just in the classroom. This is the ultimate form of social proof. It tells the donor that you are a producer, not just a consumer. We also need to discuss the FAFSA trap. While the free application for federal student aid is not a scholarship website in the traditional sense, it is the gatekeeper for much of the institutional aid you will find on the College Board's Big Future. In 2026, the FAFSA process has become more streamlined, but also more data-dependent. A common mistake students make is waiting until they find a scholarship to fill out their FAFSA. This is a fatal error. Many scholarships on these top 5 websites require your student aid index from the FAFSA as a prerequisite for applying. Case studies show that students who complete their FAFSA in the first 30 days of it opening are often first in line for first-come, first-served state grants that appear on scholarships.com. The potential outcomes of being proactive with your financial data are significant. Some universities use your FAFSA data to automatically match you with endowed scholarships. These are private funds given to the university by alumni. You might not even see these on a public search engine, but they are often listed in the financial aid portal of the colleges you are interested in. This is why our 2026 strategy must be multi-pronged. You use the public databases like FastWeb and scholarships.com to find the external funds, and you use the College Board and FAFSA data to unlock the internal funds. As we move deeper into this masterclass, you are starting to see that winning scholarships is not about luck. It is about a systematic approach to data, psychology, and volume. You have the platforms, you have the folder, and now you have the psychological framing. But there is still one massive hurdle that stops 90% of students from ever seeing a single dollar. It is the verification phase. In 2026, with the rise of AI-generated content, scholarship committees are becoming incredibly strict about verifying your achievements. If you cannot prove what you claim in your essay, your application is dead on arrival. In the next part, we are going to deep dive into the evidence protocol. We will show you exactly how to document your extracurriculars, your volunteer hours, and your academic awards so that they are audit-proof. We will look at the new digital verification tools that platforms like Surely are implementing to ensure that every claim a student makes is backed by verifiable data. If you have ever wondered how to prove you led a project or volunteered 50 hours in a way that makes a donor 100% confident in their investment, Part 5 is your blueprint. The game is getting more technical, and we are going to make sure you are the most prepared player in the room. The evidence protocol is the most underrated aspect of scholarship acquisition in 2026. In an era where digital content is easily manipulated, scholarship committees have shifted their focus from what you say to what you can prove. To stay ahead, you must treat your extracurricular and academic record like a legal deposition. Imagine a student named Chloe from Seattle. Chloe claims in her bold.org profile that she founded a community coding camp for middle school girls. Without verification, that is just a sentence. However, because Chloe follows the evidence protocol, she has a digital trail that includes a verified letter from the local community center director, a link to the GitHub repository where her students hosted their first projects, and a timestamp log of her volunteer hours. In 2026, the potential outcomes for students who provide third-party verification are significantly higher than for those who do not. Many platforms, including Surely and bold.org, have begun integrating digital credentialing systems. These systems allow you to upload badges or verified certificates directly into your profile. Historical trends show that committees are 24% more likely to advance a candidate to the final round if their key achievements are backed by a verifiable digital signature or a formal document on organization letterhead. This is not about being untrustworthy. It is about providing the committee with the security they need to justify a multi-thousand-dollar investment in you. Step 1 of the evidence protocol is the volunteer hour audit. In the past, you might have just written down 50 hours on a form. In 2026, you should use tracking apps that provide GPS-stamped or supervisor-verified logs. Organizations like the United Nations Volunteers or local US-based nonprofits often use platforms like MobileServe or Track It Forward. If your volunteer work is not on a platform, you must proactively create your own verification sheet. This is a simple document where a supervisor signs off on your hours and provides their professional contact information. Every time you finish a volunteer stint, do not wait until scholarship season to get this signed. Get it signed immediately. Store a scanned PDF of this in your Master Application Asset folder. This ensures that when a scholarships.com application asks for proof of service, you are not scrambling to find a supervisor who may have changed jobs. Step 2 involves the academic verification suite. While your official transcript is the primary document, in 2026 committees are looking for deeper data. They want to see the syllabus for your advanced courses or a portfolio of your best work. If you are applying for a STEM scholarship on FastWeb, having a verified lab report or a project summary that has been peer-reviewed by a teacher adds a layer of professionalism that most students lack. Case studies of 2026 engineering scholars show that those who included a link to a technical portfolio, even a simple one-page site, saw a marked increase in inquiries from corporate-sponsored funds. You are moving from a student who takes classes to a scholar who produces work. Step 3 is the social proof layer. This is where your LinkedIn strategy from Part 3 pays dividends. In 2026, a recommendation on LinkedIn is a form of verification. When a teacher or a community leader writes a public testimonial about your work ethic or leadership, it serves as a permanent, searchable piece of evidence. Imagine if a scholarship reviewer at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation searches for your name and finds a LinkedIn profile where 3 different mentors have written detailed accounts of your problem-solving skills. This is the ultimate form of character verification. It provides a human element to the data you have provided in your application. Now, let us look at the specific verification requirements for our 5th powerhouse website, bold.org. In 2026, bold.org has introduced a verified badge for students who connect their school-issued email and have their transcripts verified through a third-party service like National Student Clearinghouse. This badge acts as a filter. Many high-value donors on bold.org now set their scholarships to only accept applications from verified profiles. This drastically reduces the competition. If 1,000 students apply for a scholarship but only 100 are verified, you have just increased your odds of success by 10 times by simply completing a 5-minute verification step. Another critical piece of evidence is the financial necessity documentation. While we discussed the FAFSA in Part 4, in 2026, many private scholarships found on scholarships.com require more specific proof of financial status, especially for awards targeting middle-income families who might not qualify for federal Pell Grants. You should have a redacted version of your family's most recent tax returns or a letter from your school's financial aid office that confirms your cost of attendance and your unmet need. Being able to provide this data instantly shows that you are organized and serious about the process. Let us consider a scenario for 2026 involving a student named David in Miami. David is applying for a scholarship dedicated to students from immigrant families. Instead of just mentioning his background, David includes a copy of his naturalization certificate or a letter from a community organization that helped his family settle. This level of specific, documentary evidence removes all doubt from the committee's mind. In high-stakes scholarship rounds, the committee is often looking for any reason to narrow the field. If your application has a question mark where a piece of evidence should be, you are the easiest candidate to cut. By providing the evidence protocol, you are making yourself impossible to ignore. To manage this evidence effectively, you need to use a naming convention in your master folder. Do not name your files Document 1 or Resume Final. Use a professional format like last name _ first name _ volunteer log _ 2026 or last name first name for official. This seems like a small detail, but in 2026, scholarship reviewers are often looking at thousands of files. When your file is easy to identify and looks professional before they even open it, you are signaling that you have a high level of executive function. This is a trait that all scholarship donors value, because it suggests that their money will be used responsibly. Furthermore, we must address the rise of the video essay in 2026. Many scholarships on Shoally and Bold.org now offer an option to submit a 2-minute video. This is the highest form of evidence because it allows the committee to see your communication skills and your personality. However, the video itself needs evidence. If you say you are a public speaker, show a 5-second clip of you speaking at an assembly. If you say you are a builder, show the finished product. This is the show, don't tell rule of the 2026 scholarship landscape. A video that incorporates visual proof of your claims is significantly more powerful than a talking head video, where you simply read your essay aloud. Step by step, to prepare for a video essay, you should record B-roll of your activities throughout the year. If you are volunteering, have a friend take a 10-second video of you in action. If you are working on a science project, film the process. In 2026, having a library of these clips allows you to assemble a professional-grade video application in 30 minutes. Historical trends show that as attention spans decrease, these short, high-impact video applications are becoming the preferred method for private donors to vet candidates. As we conclude this deep dive into the evidence protocol, you should realize that your application is a building. Your essay is the architecture, but your evidence is the foundation. Without a strong foundation, the whole structure will collapse under the scrutiny of a serious scholarship committee. You now have the platforms, the psychological framing, and the evidence-gathering techniques to dominate the 2026 season. But there is one final piece of the puzzle that most students get wrong until it is too late. It is the follow-up. Winning the scholarship is not the end of the relationship. It is the beginning. In the next part, we are going to explore the post-application power moves. We will show you how to handle the waitlist scenario, how to write a thank you note that leads to recurring funding for all 4 years of college, and how to leverage one scholarship win to trigger a domino effect that brings in even more money. Most people stop after they hit submit, but the real professionals know that the work after the application is where the biggest checks are written. If you want to know how to turn a one-time grant into a full-ride journey, you need to see what we have prepared for Part 6. The transition from being an applicant to being a scholar is where most students lose momentum, but it is exactly where the professional scholarship strategist gains their greatest advantage. In 2026, the post-application phase is not a period of passive waiting. It is a period of active relationship management. Imagine a student named Maya from Phoenix, Arizona. Maya applied for a renewable energy scholarship through a private foundation she found on scholarships.com. Instead of simply checking her email every day, Maya implemented the post-submission protocol. 2 weeks after the deadline, she sent a brief, professional inquiry to the foundation's contact person, not to ask about her status, but to provide a meaningful update on a project she had mentioned in her essay. This is the difference between being a name on a spreadsheet and being a living, breathing candidate who is already delivering on their potential. Historical trends in philanthropic giving show that donors are significantly more likely to support students who demonstrate proactive communication. In 2026, many scholarships are renewable, meaning they can provide funding for all 4 years of your undergraduate degree. However, these renewals are rarely automatic in the way students expect. They often require an annual progress report or a maintenance of specific criteria. The potential outcomes for a student who treats their first scholarship win as a long-term partnership are far superior to those who treat it as a one-time transaction. By establishing a rapport with the donor early on, you are positioning yourself for what we call the domino effect of funding. Step 1 of the post-application power move is the value-add follow-up. If you are using a platform like bold.org, where you can see the donor's profile, look for ways to connect with their ongoing missions. Suppose you applied for a scholarship funded by a tech company. If that company releases a new sustainability report or a major piece of open-source software, a professional email mentioning how their new initiative aligns with your academic goals can be a game-changer. Case studies of 2026 applicants show that these high-signal touchpoints can move an application from the maybe pile to the finalist pile. It proves that you are not just looking for money, but that you are genuinely invested in the donor's industry. Step 2 is managing the waitlist scenario. In the U.S. scholarship landscape of 2026, being waitlisted is not a rejection. It is an invitation to provide more evidence. Imagine if Maya received a notification saying she was a finalist but not currently selected for the award. Instead of giving up, she used the letter of continued interest strategy. This is a formal document where you reaffirm your commitment to the foundation's values and provide a fresh piece of evidence that was not in your original application. Perhaps you won a new award at school, or you completed a difficult certification in the weeks since you applied. This fresh data gives the committee a reason to reconsider your standing if a primary recipient declines the award, or if additional funding becomes available. Step 3 is the Thank You Note Masterclass. This is the most frequently skipped step in the American scholarship process. In 2026, a physical handwritten thank you note sent to the foundation's office carries immense weight. It is a rare artifact in a digital world. If you win a scholarship from a local Rotary Club or a small business found via scholarships.com, that note is often shared with the board of directors. Why does this matter? Because those board members often sit on other scholarship committees. Case studies have shown that a student who expresses sincere gratitude to one local organization often finds themselves being recommended for other local grants without even applying. This is the decentralized network of local philanthropy at work. Beyond the initial win, we must discuss the art of scholarship stacking and the professional update. In 2026, you should aim to have your scholarship providers on a quarterly update list. Every 3 months, send a short email to your donors with a photo of you in a lab, a copy of your Dean's List notification, or a quick summary of a volunteer project. This maintains the warm lead for the following year. When it comes time for the 2027 or 2028 renewal, you are not a stranger asking for money again. You are a successful investment proving their capital was well spent. Historical data suggests that students who maintain this level of contact have a 90% higher renewal rate compared to those who only reach out when the bill is due. Now, let us look at the technical integration of these follow-ups with our top 5 websites. Platforms like Shoally and Fastweb are increasingly adding scholarship management tools that allow you to track your wins and set reminders for renewal deadlines. In 2026, you should treat these dashboards like a professional CRM, a customer relationship management system. If you win an award through the College Board's Big Future, ensure you are also checking the alumni network associated with that award. Many of these programs offer exclusive internship opportunities that are worth more than the scholarship itself. A $5,000 grant that leads to a $10,000 summer internship at a major U.S. firm is the ultimate strategic win. We also need to address the legal and administrative side of accepting funds. In 2026, scholarship displacement is a major issue in the United States. This occurs when a college reduces your institutional aid because you won an outside scholarship. To fight this, you must use the displacement negotiation strategy. When you win a scholarship from an external source like scholarships.com, do not just send the check to the financial aid office. First, contact the office and ask if they can apply the funds toward your self-help portion of the financial aid package, meaning your student loans or work study, rather than your university grants. Step by step, this requires a formal letter of request. Many universities will honor this if you frame it correctly, allowing you to actually lower your debt rather than just shifting who pays the university. Consider a scenario for 2026 involving a student named Liam in Chicago. Liam won $3,000 from a local foundation but found his university reduced his grant by the same amount. Liam used a template from a professional advocacy group to explain that the scholarship was intended for educational expenses not covered by his tuition grant, such as a high-end laptop for his architecture major. Because he had the evidence, a requirement list from his department, the university allowed him to keep both the grant and the scholarship. This is the level of tactical detail you need to protect your funding. As you become a multiple scholarship winner, you also become a brand. In 2026, the final website on our list, bold.org, allows you to become a scholarship ambassador. By helping others find funding, you can actually earn points and credits that go toward your own future applications. This creates a circular economy of education. You are no longer just a recipient. You are a leader in the community. This status is highly attractive to high-level donors who are looking for force multipliers. Students who will not only succeed themselves but will lift others as they climb. We have mastered the hunt, the application, the evidence, and the follow-up. But as we enter the second half of this masterclass, we have to talk about the dark side of the 2026 scholarship world. With billions of dollars at stake, predatory websites, data harvesting scams, and pay-to-play schemes are more sophisticated than ever. If you don't know how to spot a fake scholarship from a mile away, all of your hard work could lead to your personal data being sold on the dark web or your bank account being compromised. In the next part, we are going to dive into the Scholarship Security and Fraud Prevention Masterclass. We will show you the 3 unbreakable rules of scholarship safety and the red flags that even the most seasoned students often miss. Protecting your future is just as important as funding it, and Part 7 is where we draw the line in the sand. The scholarship world of 2026 is a massive economy, and wherever there is a massive amount of capital, there there are predators designed to exploit it. In this masterclass, we have talked about how to find the funds, but now we must talk about how to defend yourself. In 2026, scholarship scams have moved beyond simple phishing emails. They now use sophisticated artificial intelligence to mimic the branding of reputable organizations like the College Board or the Gates Foundation. Imagine a student named Marcus from Atlanta. Marcus receives an email that looks exactly like an official notification from a well-known database. It claims he is a finalist for a $10,000 merit award. But to claim the funds, he needs to pay a small processing fee of $99 to verify his bank account. This is the number one red flag of the 2026 landscape. A legitimate scholarship will never, under any circumstances, ask you to pay to receive money. There are no processing fees, no insurance fees, and no redemption taxes that must be paid up front. Historical trends in scholarship fraud show that thousands of American students lose millions of dollars every year to these pay-to-play schemes. The potential outcomes of falling for these scams are not just the lost $100. It is the compromise of your entire financial identity. If you give a scammer your bank account details under the guise of a direct deposit, they have everything they need to drain your account or open fraudulent lines of credit in your name. Step 1 of the scholarship security protocol is the zero-cost rule. If a website asks for a credit card number, a social security number before an official offer, or any form of upfront payment, you must close the tab immediately. Even if the site looks professional, even if it has a padlock in the browser bar, the request for money is a definitive indicator of a scam. In 2026, these sites often use social proof by displaying fake testimonials and forged seals of approval from the Better Business Bureau. You must ignore the window dressing and focus on the transaction. Real scholarship providers like the ones on our top 5 list, FastWeb, scholarships.com and bold.org, are funded by advertisers or private donors, not by the students who apply. Step 2 involves the data harvesting trap. Many websites in 2026 are not looking for your money directly. They are looking for your data. They offer a guaranteed chance to find scholarships in exchange for a deep dive survey into your family's buying habits, your medical history, and your political leanings. This data is then sold to high-ticket lead generation firms. While not strictly illegal, this practice is predatory and can lead to a lifetime of targeted spam and identity vulnerabilities. Case studies of scholarship search services that charge a subscription fee show that they rarely provide any data that you cannot find for free on the platforms we have already covered. In 2026, your data is a currency. Do not spend it on a platform that does not have a transparent privacy policy. The third security pillar is the unsolicited winner scam. This is particularly prevalent in 2026 via SMS and social media direct messages. Imagine a scenario where a student named Sophia gets a text saying she has won the National Excellence Award, despite never having applied for it. The message contains a link to verify her identity. This is a classic open loop, designed to trigger your curiosity and excitement. However, historical data proves that real scholarships do not go looking for random students to give money to. You must apply to win. If you receive a notification for an award you do not remember applying for, it is almost certainly a phishing attempt. To combat this, you need to use the scholarship application tracker we discussed in Part 2. When you receive a notification, your first step should be to cross-reference it with your spreadsheet. If the name of the scholarship, the date of application, and the donor organization do not match your records, do not click the link. Instead, go directly to the official website of the organization through your browser and log in to your account there. Never use the link provided in the suspicious message. In 2026, deepfake URLs are common, where a site looks like scholarships.com, but is actually a lookalike domain designed to steal your login credentials. Step by step, you should also implement two-factor authentication, 2FA, on every scholarship portal you use. In 2026, this is the standard for digital safety. If a scammer manages to get your password through a data breach on a smaller, less secure site, 2FA will prevent them from accessing your more important accounts. Additionally, you should use a dedicated email address for your scholarship search, as mentioned in previous parts. This creates a sandbox for your academic communications. If that email starts getting flooded with suspicious, get-rich offers or loan forgiveness scams, you know that one of the sites you used has either been breached or is selling your data. This allows you to isolate the threat without compromising your primary personal or school email. Another emerging threat in 2026 is the AI-driven essay service. These are predatory websites that offer to write your scholarship essays for you using advanced language models, promising a guaranteed win. Not only is this a violation of the terms of service of every major scholarship provider, but modern scholarship committees now use highly accurate AI detection software. If your essay is flagged as AI-generated, you will be blacklisted not just from that scholarship, but often from the entire platform's network. Case studies from 2025 show that several high-profile scholarship foundations shared a blacklist of applicants who used fraudulent writing services. The potential outcome of using these shortcuts is the permanent destruction of your academic reputation. Furthermore, we must address the federal grant scam. Scammers often pose as government officials from the Department of Education, claiming that you are eligible for a hidden federal grant. They may even use official-looking government seals. Remember that all legitimate federal student aid is managed through the FAFSA and the official studentaid.gov portal. The U.S. government will never call you to offer a grant in exchange for a fee. If you receive such a call, hang up and report the number to the Federal Trade Commission. In 2026, these callers often use voice cloning to sound like authoritative figures. Stay vigilant and rely only on the official channels you have been taught in this masterclass. Let us look at a case study of a student named Liam in Chicago who successfully navigated a suspicious situation. Liam found a scholarship on a social media ad that promised $5,000 for a simple one-click application. Instead of clicking, Liam used the search for the founder method. He looked up the organization on the IRS tax-exempt organization search tool. He found that the organization did not exist as a registered nonprofit. He then searched the physical address listed on the site and found it was a virtual mailbox in a different state. By spending 10 minutes on due diligence, Liam protected himself from a data harvesting operation. This is the level of skepticism you must maintain. As we move forward, it is important to realize that the best defense is a good offense. By sticking to the Big 5 websites we have detailed, FastWeb, College Board's Big Future, Scholarships.com, Shoally, and Bold.org, you are operating within a walled garden of verified opportunities. These platforms have their own security teams that vet donors before their scholarships are posted. While no system is perfect, the risk on these platforms is exponentially lower than on the open web. You are now equipped with the armor of the evidence protocol and the shield of scholarship security. But there is one more level to this game. Even if you find a real scholarship and you are perfectly safe, there is a specific way to stack your awards to ensure you aren't just paying for tuition, but actually generating a cost of attendance surplus. In the next part, we are going to dive into the scholarship stacking masterclass. We will show you how to coordinate multiple awards so they cover your housing, your food, your travel, and even your study abroad programs. We are going to look at the over-award regulations and how to legally navigate them so you can maximize every dollar you earn. If you want to know how to graduate with a bank account that is actually higher than when you started, Part 8 is the playbook you need. Scholarship stacking is the process of layering multiple awards from various sources to cover every conceivable cost of your higher education journey. In 2026, the cost of attendance for a 4-year degree in the United States often includes hidden expenses that most students forget to calculate until it is too late. We are talking about health insurance premiums, high-speed data plans for research, transportation between states, and the rising cost of nutritious food in campus-adjacent areas. To graduate with a financial surplus, you must understand the cost of attendance or COA. Every university in the U.S. is required to publish their COA, which acts as the legal ceiling for how much financial aid you can receive. Imagine a student named Jordan from Denver. Jordan is attending an out-of-state university where the COA is listed at $55,000 per year. If Jordan receives a full tuition scholarship worth $35,000, he still has $20,000 of headroom in his COA. This headroom is your target zone. Most students stop once their tuition is paid, but the professional scholarship strategist uses platforms like FastWeb and Bold.org to find sticker scholarships, awards that are sent directly to the student rather than the school's financial aid office. Historical trends show that when funds are sent to the school, they are applied strictly to the ledger. When funds are sent to you, they can be used for the living expenses that often drive students into high-interest credit card debt. In 2026, the potential outcomes for a student who masterfully stacks these awards include a debt-free graduation and a significant emergency fund. This is not about wealth accumulation for its own sake. It is about the financial stability required to focus entirely on your academic and professional development. The first step in the stacking masterclass is the COA audit. You must go to your university's financial aid website and find the breakdown of their COA. You will see categories like tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, and personal expenses. In 2026, many universities allow you to appeal for a COA increase. For example, if you are a film student who needs a $5,000 workstation or a nursing student with high clinical travel costs, you can provide documentation to the school to raise your legal aid ceiling. Case studies of 2026 graduate students show that a successful COA appeal allowed them to accept an additional $6,000 in private scholarships that would have otherwise been displaced or rejected by the school. Step 2 involves the coordination of benefits. You must categorize your scholarships into 2 buckets: institutional and external. Institutional aid comes from the college itself, while external aid comes from the top 5 websites we have discussed. The key is to find external scholarships that are refundable. On scholarships.com, you can often find awards from small community foundations that explicitly state the funds can be used for any educational expense. When these checks arrive, you want them to be processed after your institutional aid has already covered your tuition. This results in a financial aid refund check being issued to you by the university bursar. In the 2026 academic year, students are using these refunds to pay for off-campus housing, which is often more cost-effective than dormitories, further increasing their surplus. Step by step, you must also navigate the legal landscape of the IRS regarding scholarship taxation. In the United States, scholarship money used for tuition, fees, books, and required equipment is generally tax-free. However, money used for room and board is considered taxable income. Historical data suggests that many students are surprised by a tax bill in April because they did not set aside a portion of their surplus funds. As a professional, you should keep a meticulous log of your expenses. If you win a $2,000 scholarship from a local business found on Shoally, and you use it to buy a required laptop, that is a non-taxable event. If you use it to pay for your meal plan, you need to account for the potential tax liability. This level of detail is what separates a student from a strategist. Now let us look at the study abroad stacking strategy. In 2026, global experience is a massive differentiator in the U.S. job market. Many students believe they cannot afford to study in Europe or Asia, but the reality is that specific scholarships like the Benjamin A. Gilman International Scholarship are designed to stack on top of your existing federal and institutional aid. Imagine if Jordan from Denver used the College Board's Big Future to find a university that has a global portability agreement. This means his existing scholarships follow him overseas. He then adds a $3,000 travel grant from a local heritage society. Because his cost of living in a city like Lisbon or Hanoi might actually be lower than his cost of living in Denver, he is essentially being paid to study abroad. Another high-level move is the research and internship stack. In 2026, foundations are increasingly moving away from general merit and toward project-based funding. By using bold.org, you can find scholarships that fund specific summer research projects. Instead of taking a minimum wage summer job, you can stack a $5,000 research grant with a $3,000 summer living stipend from your university's career office. This allows you to gain high-level professional experience while maintaining your financial momentum. Case studies from 2025 and 2026 show that students who engage in this stack summer model are 50% more likely to receive high-salary job offers before they even graduate. The technical execution of stacking requires a communication flow with your school's financial aid officer. You should never hide your external wins. That can lead to legal complications. Instead, you should proactively send an allocation letter. This letter informs the school that you have won an external award and requests that the funds be applied to your unmet need or your expected student contribution first. In 2026, many universities have adopted student-friendly displacement policies due to legislative pressure, but they only apply these policies if the student explicitly requests it. You must be your own advocate. Consider a scenario involving a character named Elena in Los Angeles. Elena is a first-generation student with a full Pell Grant and a state-level Cal Grant. She wins a $5,000 leadership scholarship from a major corporation found on FastWeb. Without a strategy, the school might see she is over-awarded and reduce her Cal Grant. However, Elena uses the evidence protocol to show that her actual cost of attendance is higher than the school's estimate because of the specialized software and equipment needed for her architecture degree. The school agrees to increase her COA, allowing her to keep every dollar of her $5,000 win. She uses that money to pay for a professional licensure prep course, a cost many students have to put on a high-interest loan later. As we reach the conclusion of Part 8, the picture should be clear. Finding the money is just the beginning. Protecting the money from displacement and managing it through strategic stacking is how you truly win. You are building a professional financial structure for your education. You have the platforms, the security, and now the stacking playbook. But even with all the money in the world, there is a social and academic trap that causes many scholarship winners to lose their funding in their second or third year. In 2026, retention clauses are stricter than ever. If your GPA dips or you change your major without following the proper steps, your multi-year funding can vanish overnight. In the next part, we are going to dive into the Scholarship Maintenance and Retention Masterclass. We will show you how to navigate the major change process without losing your grants, how to handle academic probation if life gets in the way, and the specific reporting requirements that keep the checks coming year after year. Winning once is great, but keeping the money for 4 years is the real challenge. If you want to ensure your full ride stays full until the day you walk across that stage, Part 9 is the most important 1,000 words you will ever hear. We are entering the home stretch, and the stakes have never been higher. Maintaining your financial momentum in 2026 is a discipline of administrative precision. Many students celebrate the arrival of their first scholarship check as the finish line, but in the professional landscape of American higher education, that check is merely the first installment of a 4-year contract. In 2026, renewable scholarships come with high-fidelity strings attached. If you fail to understand the compliance metrics of your donors, you risk a sudden and catastrophic funding gap. Imagine a student named Taylor from Nashville. Taylor secured a prestigious STEM scholarship through a foundation found on FastWeb that covers $20,000 a year. However, in the second semester of her sophomore year, Taylor decided to switch her major from mechanical engineering to industrial design. Because she did not read the fine print regarding major specificity, her funding was revoked within 48 hours of the registrar processing her change. This is the major change trap, and it is more common than ever in 2026. Scholarship donors often have specific philanthropic goals, such as increasing the number of graduates in high-need technical fields. When you move outside that field, you are no longer fulfilling their investment thesis. To avoid Taylor's outcome, the step-by-step detail of scholarship maintenance begins with the contract audit. Every scholarship you win must be stored in your master application asset folder, along with its original terms and conditions document. You need to highlight 3 specific variables: the GPA floor, the credit hour requirement, and the major restrictions. Historical trends show that foundations are increasingly less flexible with these requirements as they deal with a higher volume of applicants. They use automated data feeds from universities to verify your status, leaving zero room for human error or negotiation if a threshold is crossed. The second pillar of maintenance is the GPA defense strategy. Most merit-based scholarships in the U.S. require a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or 3.2. In 2026, many students face grade deflation in rigorous courses, making that threshold harder to maintain. Imagine if Taylor hit a difficult patch in a thermodynamics course and her GPA slipped to a 2.9. Under the old system, she might have just lost her money. In 2026, professional scholarship winners use the appeal and probation protocol. Most high-level foundations offer a 1-semester grace period if you proactively report your academic struggle before the grades are finalized. Case studies of 2026 scholars show that students who submit a personal hardship statement, along with a corrective action plan, such as proof of mandatory tutoring or a reduced work-study load, are often granted a stay of execution on their funding. The key is transparency. If the foundation finds out through an automated report, you are a liability. If they find out through you, you are a student taking responsibility for their growth. Step by step, if you find your GPA slipping, you must draft an academic recovery memo. This document should be sent to your scholarship officer at the foundation. It should state clearly that you are aware of the GPA requirement, identify the specific academic or personal factors that led to the dip, and outline exactly how you will return to compliance in the next 12 weeks. In the 2026 environment, donors value resilience over perfection. They want to see that their investment can handle a setback. This memo, combined with a letter of support from an academic advisor, can save a scholarship worth $80,000 over 4 years. The third pillar is the credit hour consistency rule. In 2026, many students attempt to underload their schedules to focus on a difficult project or an internship, dropping below 12 credit hours. In the eyes of most scholarship providers, this changes your status from full-time to part-time, which is a deal breaker for 90% of major grants. Even if you are ahead of schedule for graduation, you must maintain the minimum credit load specified in your award letter. Historical data suggests that accidental part-time status is the leading cause of scholarship loss for juniors and seniors in the United States. You must coordinate with your academic advisor every semester to ensure that your course drops or additions do not trigger an automated notification to your donors. Now, let us look at the reporting and gratitude cycle. In 2026, platforms like bold.org and scholarships.com are increasingly moving toward a social impact model of reporting. Donors no longer just want to see a transcript. They want to see the potential outcomes of their money in action. Every June, you should prepare a year-in-review portfolio. This is a one-page PDF that includes your updated GPA, a list of your completed projects, and a short narrative about how the scholarship helped you achieve a specific goal. Imagine if Taylor had sent a year-in-review portfolio that included a photo of her at a regional robotics competition. When she eventually wanted to change her major, she would have had a reservoir of goodwill with the donor. They might have been willing to pivot her funding to a different internal fund because they had seen the quality of her character and her consistent communication. Another critical factor for 2026 is the Conduct and Digital Presence Clause. We discussed the digital audit in Part 2, but maintenance means the audit never ends. Many private scholarships now include morality clauses that allow them to revoke funding if a student is involved in disciplinary action at their university, or if they post content that is deemed fundamentally inconsistent with the donor's public mission. In a hyper-connected 2026, your private life can have public financial consequences. Case studies have emerged where students lost significant funding due to viral videos of unprofessional behavior. You must treat your status as a scholarship recipient as a brand ambassadorship. You are a representative of the organization that is paying for your education. To manage this effectively, you should set a calendar trigger for the first of every month. Spend 15 minutes reviewing your social media privacy settings and ensuring your public-facing data is professional. Additionally, check the donor news for each of your scholarships. If the foundation that funds you just merged with another organization or changed its leadership, you need to know. These administrative shifts can often lead to changes in the renewal process or new reporting requirements. By staying informed, you are never caught off guard by a missing form that could freeze your tuition payments. We also need to discuss the transition to graduate funding. In 2026, many students are realizing that their undergraduate scholarships have bridge options. Some foundations found on Shoally or FastWeb offer additional funding if you transition directly into a master's or PhD program within the same field. However, these options usually require a notice of intent to be filed during your junior year. If you wait until you are a senior, you are often too late to qualify for the bridge. This is why our 2026 strategy is built on a 4-year horizon, not just a one-semester sprint. You are constantly looking for the next link in the chain. The maintenance phase is about turning a win into a legacy. You have navigated the top 5 websites, you have defended yourself against scams, you have stacked your awards to create a surplus, and now you are guarding your compliance with a professional's eye for detail. You are no longer a student who happened to get lucky with a scholarship. You are a funded scholar who is managing a multi-year financial portfolio. But there is one final piece to this masterclass. Even with all this knowledge, the world of 2026 moves fast. New platforms emerge, algorithms change, and the hidden market of unadvertised scholarships continues to grow. In the final part of this series, we are going to unveil the 2026 scholarship metagame. We will show you how to find the ghost scholarships that never appear on search engines, how to leverage your current wins to gain access to exclusive private networks, and how to set up an automated intelligence system that keeps new opportunities flowing into your inbox without you ever having to search again. We are going to wrap up everything we have learned into a single cohesive execution blueprint that you can use from today until the moment you graduate. If you want to be in the top 1% of students who never pay a dime for their education, Part 10 is the final key. The end of the journey is in sight, and the most powerful secrets are yet to come. The 2026 scholarship metagame is where the elite 1% of applicants separate themselves from the general pool of searchers. By now, you have mastered the foundational platforms like FastWeb and scholarships.com, but those are the public-facing gateways that everyone can see. To truly eliminate the cost of your education, you must move into the realm of ghost scholarships. These are funds that do not appear in any centralized database. They are often managed by small private family offices, niche professional guilds, or local businesses that prefer to operate under the radar to avoid a deluge of low-quality applications. Imagine a student named Ethan from Seattle who is studying marine biology. Instead of just searching on bold.org, Ethan uses the institutional backdoor strategy. He goes to the websites of the top 10 marine research firms in the Pacific Northwest and looks at their 990 tax forms. These public documents reveal exactly which foundations they contribute to and which students or programs received their grants in previous years. This level of investigative research is the first step in the 2026 execution blueprint. Historical trends show that the most lucrative scholarships are often the least advertised. When you find a ghost scholarship, the competition drops from thousands of applicants to perhaps a dozen. The potential outcomes of this strategy are extraordinary. To execute this, you must develop a list of what we call strategic adjacent organizations. If you are an architecture student, do not just look for architecture scholarships. Look at the foundations of the companies that manufacture specialized building materials or the urban planning nonprofits in your specific region. These organizations have a vested interest in the future workforce, but often lack the marketing budget to post their opportunities on the massive national portals. The second pillar of the metagame is the automated intelligence system. In 2026, you cannot afford to manually check websites every day. You must turn yourself into a data receiver. Step by step, this involves setting up advanced Boolean Google alerts for terms like Scholarship Application PDF 2026 or Grant Announcement 2027, combined with your specific major and city. Furthermore, you should utilize RSS feed aggregators to monitor the newsrooms of the companies in your target industry. Most corporate scholarships are announced as a press release 6 months before they go live on a portal. By being the first to know, you can reach out to the program coordinator early, asking clarifying questions that put your name at the top of their mind before the official window even opens. Case studies of 2026 scholars indicate that this early signal approach significantly increases the likelihood of a successful application because it demonstrates a level of professional initiative that most students simply do not possess. Beyond automation, we have the inbound magnet strategy. In the previous parts, we discussed optimizing your LinkedIn and bold.org profiles, but in 2026, the metagame involves making your work so visible that donors come to you. Imagine if Ethan from Seattle started a small blog or a video series documenting his research into sustainable aquaculture. By sharing his journey on professional networks, he creates a trail of intellectual property. Historical data suggests that in the mid-2020s, many private donors shifted toward direct action philanthropy, where they scout for promising individuals on social platforms rather than waiting for applications. This is the ultimate open loop. When a donor sees your progress over 6 months, they are not just reading an essay. They are watching a documentary of your success. The scholarship becomes a natural next step in that story. The third pillar is the multiplier effect of current wins. Once you win your first scholarship, you have passed a significant psychological threshold. You are now a vetted asset. In 2026, you should use your first win as leverage for every subsequent application. In the US, there is a concept called winning breeds winning. When you apply for a new grant on Shoally, your lead sentence should mention your previous awards. As a 2026 recipient of the National STEM Excellence Grant, I am now seeking to expand my impact through the Urban Tech Scholarship. This creates a sense of scarcity and high value. Donors love to double down on winners. They want to be part of a success story that is already in motion. This is how students stack 10 or 15 different awards to create that cost of attendance surplus we discussed in Part 8. Now, let us integrate the final execution blueprint into a weekly routine. To maintain this engine in 2026, you need a rhythm. Every Monday is your data harvest day. You spend 30 minutes reviewing your automated intelligence system alerts and your scholarship tracker. Every Wednesday is your asset refinement day. You take one of the core essays in your master folder and update it with a new achievement or a more refined professional goal. Every Friday is your submission day. You commit to hitting the submit button on at least 3 applications, regardless of how you feel. By treating this as a professional operation, You bypass the emotional fatigue that causes most students to quit after their first 5 applications. Consider the case of a student who followed this blueprint for a full academic cycle. By December of 2026, they had applied for 75 scholarships. Out of those, they were rejected by 60. However, they won 15 awards ranging from $500 to $5,000. The total sum covered their tuition, their housing, and left them with a $10,000 stipend for their summer internship. This is not a story of a genius. It is a story of a strategist. The statistical probability of success is a function of volume, quality, and persistence. In the 2026 economy, the information gap is closing, but the execution gap remains wide. This masterclass has given you the tools to bridge that gap. As we conclude this 10-part deep dive, we have to address the post-graduation horizon. The scholarship game does not end when you get your degree. In 2026, the skills you have learned here, data mining, professional storytelling, evidence gathering, and strategic networking, are the exact same skills required to secure high-level professional roles, venture capital for a startup, or research grants for a laboratory. You have not just learned how to pay for college, you have learned how to navigate the complex bureaucratic and philanthropic systems of the United States. You have built a personal brand that is audit-proof and mission-aligned. To finalize your 2026 roadmap, ensure that your master application asset folder is backed up on at least 2 cloud services. Keep your evidence protocol updated every single month. Never let a letter of recommendation request go unthanked. And most importantly, keep your eyes on the why. You are doing this to secure your freedom. Every dollar in scholarship money is a dollar you do not have to pay back with interest later in life. It is an hour of your future life that you have bought back from the debt cycle. You now have the complete playbook. You know the top 5 websites: FastWeb, College Board's Big Future, scholarships.com, Scholey and Bold.org. You know the psychological triggers of the investment frame. You know how to defend against scams and how to stack your awards legally and effectively. The 2026 scholarship season is yours to dominate. We have covered the foundations, the strategies, and the metagame. But the world of education and finance is always evolving. As you embark on your first week of applications, remember that the most successful scholars are the ones who stay curious and keep searching for the next open loop. The next phase of your journey starts with a single click on that first website. We have given you the map. Now it is time for you to walk the path. Your future is fully funded, and the only thing left to do is hit the start button on your professional scholarship engine. For those of you ready to take the next leap into career-specific grants and international research opportunities, the road is wide open. We will see you at the top of the finalist list.